U.S. stocks have hovered on both sides of the flat line as the trading week gets underway. We do have a couple data points as well as earnings season well underway. And joining me now is Peter Cardillo of First Standard Financial. Peter, thanks for joining me today.
Good to be back.
Well, the global markets are digesting the latest expectations for rate differentials as well as earnings reports. But we do have key economic data coming out from China this week. So what points are you paying attention to?
Well, I think the economic data out of China obviously is going to be closely watched, but I think the feature economic news this week here in the States is going to be the Beige Book. As you know, we got industrial production today, and that basically climbed over the plus side again by 0.1%. A bit of a disappointment, but nevertheless, it did show that factory output is on the move again. And so from that perspective, I think that's good news. On the other hand, we saw the Empire State Manufacturing Index actually decline, and that certainly was a bit of a disappointment. But in general, the macro news seems to be mostly in line with forecasts, and that just simply means that the economy is continuing to grow.
And speaking of the economy and the bigger picture, we've been keeping an eye on the U.S. currency as well as oil prices, and we'll continue to monitor that going forward. But how does that fit into the overall picture for you?
Well, it does. Obviously, you know, the U.S. dollar continues to stay strong. In fact, if you measure it by the dollar index, we're at the highs of the year, well, maybe just slightly lower than the highs of the year, but certainly within that territory. And I suspect that we're going to see the dollar continue to stay strong. In fact, in my forecast, I believe that there's a good possibility that by year end, the dollar index will probably reach par, which would mean that we'll see further strengthening.
And Peter, of course, I have to ask you about expectations for earnings season. We did get results out from the financials. We still have a slew of earnings to go through as we head into the rest of this week. But given what you're seeing so far, what sectors are you paying attention to, and what do you think of valuation?
Well, I think, you know, valuations probably will get closer in line to what the market is looking for after this earnings season. Judging from what we got so far, which is, you know, a very small percentage of earnings, they haven't been all that bad. And of course, if you take a look at the three major financial institutions that reported since Friday, they have reported both top and bottom line growth. So if that trend continues, then I kind of suspect that this earnings season is going to be quite supportive to stocks.
Okay, Peter. Well, thank you so much for joining me at the beginning of the week, and we'll speak at the beginning of next week.
Thank you.